If you've been getting unemployment during the pandemic, it's important to know that you'll have to report that money when tax season comes back around, and it could affect your return. Our Sydney Stallworth spoke with a credit educator today to keep you informed.
This has been a great year for understanding, forward thinking, and the necessity to plan ahead.
Tax season is still about 8 months away, but there are some things you should know now and prepare for, especially if you've been receiving federal unemployment money during the pandemic. You'll have to pay federal taxes on that money in 2021, and state tax varies depending on where you are. Alabama does not tax unemployment benefits. The same goes for Tennessee and Florida. Georgia and Mississippi, however, do. Millie Gunn is not a tax specialist, but says with all the financial hardship caused by the pandemic, more people might want to consult a professional when filling out their taxes next year.
You really can't go wrong getting help.
And you don't have to pay an arm and a leg to get that help.
Consult your local resources because they do offer low and reduced things, because a lot of times we do it ourselves to save some money, but there may be an alternate that will still allow you to save money.
Gunn says calling 211 and inquiring about tax assistance is a great way to get connected with affordable tax professionals.
Because what you don't want to do is fill it out wrong and you wind up owing extra money, or you lose out on some extra returns that you could have received.
She says there are some things to think ahead about before spending your tax return next year.
What's the balance on your credit cards? What debts do you have outstanding? What does your savings account look like? Nobody thought that this pandemic would last this long. Can you survive 3 to 6 months without employment? Can you survive 3 to 6 months with reduced employment?
For more information and tips on managing your finances during the pandemic, head on over to RocketCityNow.com. Putting the Valley first, Sydney Stallworth, WZDX News.